Good evening, everyone. This is James W. Falcon. I'm super excited. I'm pumped. I'm jazzed. I'm stoked. I am thrilled. If you haven't gotten the point, I'm excited too anyway. But the reason I'm so jazzed and so stoked this late at night is because this is the first video for the day one of our 16-day self-love focus. Why am I so late with this? My apologies, just running a bit behind. But my plan is to give you at least one podcast video for each one of the 16 cards. And then the wraparound will be reinforcing posts, maybe additional smaller segments of videos, and other supportive things that help to reinforce the themes on the card throughout the day. So you can look for one video and then wrap around posts and themes and things, articles, just like we've been doing to support and to really drive home the point made for that day's slogans on the card. Now, if you have never used an affirmation tool, this is the way you do it. If you read something and something really pops, it really stands out for you, then you want to say the information on that card multiple times. Say it to a point where you can hear it and you can really soak it in. It's kind of like massaging in lotion. So when something really stands out to you, say it. I would encourage you, say all the cards multiple times each day. Meditate on them, read them, understand how the dots on the cards connect with the presentations we've made so far on and in the group, okay? And that would be the way that you do this. So you would repeat what's on the cards multiple times a day, include them in conversations, talk to them, to your friends and family members, as what they mean to you, so you can start making the information personal to a degree that it will work and start to manifest for you the things that we hope and believe that it will manifest for you in your life. Having said that, I got to say this, folks, before I launch into the topic for the day, the information on the first two cards. At 53 years of age, and all the stuff that I've done as a coach, as a professional, and all the degrees and the certificates and the certifications that I've received, and I say those things humbly, but follow me, I want to make this point. I have never known a tool as in-depth and as versatile as self-love in all of my 53 years, and all my 53 years of life, even as a coach, even having done research on the master's level, the bachelor's level, and now on the PhD level. I do not know of a tool, an approach, a methodology that can be used that has such universal application as self-love does. Self-love is an amazing thing. It's an amazing tool. It's an amazing concept. We tend to hear things like when the phrase self-love was first articulated to me, I thought of something like a tree-hugging hippie. No offense to tree-hugging hippies, right? But I thought to myself of somebody really in touch with nature, somebody really in touch with their feminine side if they were a masculine person, and vice versa. I felt like it was somebody who was really nature oriented. And I don't say that to be slurish or slighting people in those modes and mindsets. Love them all. But I just didn't have a clue as to what self-love really was until I wrote my book, my last book, Becoming a Self-Love Practitioner. Now, before I go any further, I just want to let you know, I'm going to reference this book multiple times on this podcast and throughout the 16 days and just going forward, because self-love means that much to me, and I want it to mean at least something to the people around me, the people I care about, the people I know and love, because of what this concept has done in transforming my life. So this is not ever about me in terms of, I don't want you to run right out and buy the book. This is not a book promotion. I'm going to tell you about my YouTube channel. I'm going to tell you about some of my coaching. I'm going to tell you about my blog library. Those things are my creations. They are part of the Encouragement is Key network that I've been building for the past 10 years. I don't want you to run out and just think that I'm trying to get you to increase my views and my subscriptions on YouTube. Those things would be nice. That's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because the founding visionary for the Why Not group, by the way, all that we're doing is exclusive for the Why Not group. This information, like, this is how serious I am about this, just so you understand where I delineate what I'm doing for the group and with the group versus anything else. Listen, all of the folks on all of my social media platforms have been so used to James W. Falcon promoting, pushing, selling something as it relates to aspect of my Encouragement Ski Network. This is the first time, because I want to make this information from my input. I want to make it exclusive for just and only the folks in our group, in our community. I, as a Facebook person, my personal Facebook page is not linked to Why Not Celebrate Your Wins Facebook page, Facebook group. I personally didn't link them because I don't want the information I share for this group to be seen on my personal Facebook page. Am I being snobbish? No. Because the point we created was building a community that's going to do certain things, and we are inviting certain people with certain mindsets to participate. And so that's not going to be everybody. Not that I think we're any better. That's not it either. But we're trying to cultivate something specific with a specific group of people for a specific reason. And the reason is Laverne, the founding visionary of the Why Not Celebrate Your Wins group. She and I were talking, we were doing our coaching session one day, and we stumbled across some facts in the process of wanting to launch something exclusive for an online community. And so we started thinking of things that would be drivers. Where would the background come from for us to start building? And we found two facts, two things that were very important as trends. The first trend is that globally, self-esteem is starting to decline, and that's among people across multiple demographics globally. And that is probably part and parcel of the fact that we're now rounding the corner coming out of a global pandemic. So we haven't had the opportunity to connect as much as we would have in the past. So our understanding of self is kind of diminishing. That makes sense socially and psychologically if you're following my drift. So I understand that. The second statistic was sadder because it was as a result of a recent post that the United States Surgeon General did just back in March of this year, where he declared isolation and loneliness to be another public health crisis, because he said the following things. People in America, we're talking about Americans here, folks, not globally, Americans, and I forget how many were surveyed or questioned. The people in this group were reporting the fact that they did not have a significant person in their lives who could speak to them in an encouraging, uplifting manner regarding supporting them on some very personal levels, like goal pursuit and so forth. They felt alone. They felt that they didn't have the friendship circle that they used to have. So the support they were looking for and needed was lacking. And so the Surgeon General said the way to combat that is that there must be reinforcements in communities that can help people get connected. So he was saying the foundation that can be laid in communities, whether realistic or online, would serve to support folks who are feeling lonely, isolated, and disconnected. Those are the two trends on which we launched Why Not Celebrate Your Wins. We want to become a voice for a few of you, for certain things in your life. Goal pursuits. We want to become a voice, not the voice, but a voice that says to you, way to go, right on, high five from a distance. Do you understand the point? That's why this group exists, because of those two trends. And we're creating a community. We are now 40 members strong as of an hour ago when I last looked. That's 40 from July 20th. That is explosive in my mind in terms of growth. I remember when we had one person, and that was just Laverne, and then me. But then I disconnected, like I told you, for why I told you. And then we added Teresa to our leadership team. So we had at least 3 people, and then we launched. And I remember seeing the numbers slowly tick up every 5, 10, 15, 20. Now today, I think we had 39 people for like 3 or 4 days, and now we're at 40. We have an online community. So our job, Teresa, Laverne, and myself, is to inundate you with support. and flood you with attaboys, attagirls, and encouragement to be a voice for you, to spur you to go forward in your goal pursuits. And the community will hope to help you if you were feeling like that, to not feel like you're all alone, to not feel like you're stranded on an island all by yourself. If you look through the posts, people have said a number of things. Some people reported having significant challenges. Right away, the leadership and we jump right on it with an encouraging word, encouraging and helping people to remember, hey, stay focused. Sorry you're dealing with that, but we are here for you. You're special. You're important. We're doing those things because that's what community does for each other. That's the community I grew up in. That's the community that I was used to relying on for my extended and immediate family members. If you're not a person that has that experience, I'm sorry that you've missed that piece. I'm sorry that wasn't there, but you can find those elements certainly in why not celebrate your wins. The idea is we want you to post and to tell us about the progress you're making. So again, we can be a voice for you so you won't have to feel like you're succeeding in a vacuum. Make sense? That's why this group exists. So having said that, let me go back to what I started. So thank you for listening to me on that aspect. So in 53 years, with all the reading, research, and writing I've done, with all that I've been able to output, I have not yet found a methodology that is as broad, is as deep, is as far-reaching, and is as filled with efficacy as self-love is. And here's why. Self-love is not just a definition. It is a methodology. It can be a methodology if you choose to use it that way. It can be a platform. Now, everything from this point forward, I'm going to tell you, is not James W. Falcon's opinion. From this point forward, I'm going to give you scientific fact, or at least facts from other sources, which is why you now have card number 2 in your possession. I don't know what prompted me. I got running so fast this morning. I sent you card 1 without card 2. Card 2 should actually be card 1 because it's the definition for self-love. Self-love the definition reads as follows. And this is from the Brain and Behavior Research Foundation. Not my words, it's theirs. You can find this online for yourself. Self-love, listen folks, self-love is a state of appreciation for oneself that grows from actions that support our physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. It grows from actions that support. Self-love means having a high regard for your own well-being and happiness. Self-love means taking care of your own needs and not sacrificing your well-being to please others. Last sentence, self-love means not settling for less than you deserve. That is powerful. Now, if you put that into practice, it's what I call the principles and practice of self-love. If you put that into practice, here's how it breaks down, folks. I'm going to give you this, and we're going to go to card number 2, and we'll be on a wrap for tonight. We can look forward to doing this 15 more days in a row. I wanted to share this because celebrating your wins, celebrating your accomplishments is one of the actions that you can use, like the definition says, to grow self-love based on the actions that you do that support your physical, psychological, and spiritual growth. Celebrating an accomplishment, getting other people involved, and acknowledging your work, your progress, the steps you're making and taking toward a dream, a vision, or a goal to be manifest in your life. That is definitely one of the deposits, if you remember me mentioning in an earlier post on the group. Self-love is your account balance. Self-care, which a lot of times people use interchangeably, it's not. It's two different things. Self-love is a state of being. Self-love are action items, things that you do. You do to feed the state of being. It's like this. Self-care is your deposit that you're making into your account. Your account balance is self-love. So you need to be making frequent deposits of doing things like the definition says that support growth and development spiritually, psychologically, and physically. That's how this works. The definition breaks it down for you. What's the point here? celebrating your wins, posting what you've done, posting what you've accomplished. First, having a goal, making progress on that goal, posting the progress, and allow us to acknowledge, see you high five, and bring some attention to what you're doing so that you can know how valuable your energy and effort is. That is increasing the balance of your self-love account. Doing those things, meditating, journaling, there's a whole host of things. Matter of fact, if you look on the timeline, you'll see an article I posted just yesterday talking about the benefits of self-care, and it offers multiple self-care options that you can use for yourself. So we want to make this information exclusive for the Why Not Celebrate Your Wins group. Not because we're snippy, snooty, or whatever. That's not it. But we're building something by design. Now, just today, I sent out some information and I went through a couple of my friends list, my contact list on social media platforms to give very general invitations to the rest of my friends and family members across social media platforms for them to join us. Why? Because something is about to pop off for us that's going to be transformational. When you get finished these 15, I guarantee you, every day that you meditate on the information on these cards, it's going to be transformational if you allow it to be. And here's why. You need to have an understanding of who you are in order to be able to work effectively in life and with the people in your life. Here's one thing, and I'm going to give you the name and the access to my YouTube channel, where there are presently 175 podcasts, individual hour-long podcasts, some of 20 minutes, maybe a little bit less. But there are about 25, 26 some odd series with tons of podcasts for you to comb through and watch whatever you want free of charge. That YouTube channel is one of the things I've been building a year ago, part of my Encouragement is Key network. And it was designed, listen, to help promote. We're the only YouTube channel that is designed for the express purpose of helping people grow and to develop professionally, personally, and spiritually. Sound familiar? Yes, it does. It's the very definition, or at least part of the definition, of what I just read. Our YouTube channel is the only channel I know dedicated to your personal, professional, spiritual growth and development. Why? Because I understand how the dots connect. So you can go out there. These videos will be links with placards and everything labeled on the YouTube channel that you can go out there and re-watch, re-listen to, review. You can share them if you want. It's up to you. And again, I'm not telling you that so you can go out, like, and subscribe, just so my numbers go up. I'm telling you so that you can genuinely have a connection to some worthwhile, thought-provoking, personal growth and development sparring information. That's why I'm telling you all that. That's why we're doing any of this, all this. So self-love is the basis on which this group was founded, because we believe that self-love can be an extraordinary catalyst for what you need to do. So let me go back to the definition. So the definition exists for you to continue to refer to. Break it down. If we were just to take the last line, self-love is not settling for less than what you deserve. We can preach that for 16 Sundays, right? Excuse me. Because so many of us slip into a people-pleasing mindset, or we give way to everybody else's whims and wishes, and we fail to stand our ground to be able to articulate the things that matter to us, or to be able to do the things that we want to do for us. Many of us are living our lives marching to the drum beat that somebody else is playing, and we haven't owned what we need to do with our time, and we haven't learned how to effectively communicate from an enhanced understanding of self-love, so we can speak in a way that establishes, repairs, and rebuilds boundaries in our lives. And so that's one of the reasons why this is going to be so transformational, because when you have an understanding of your self-love balance, you know what you need daily to make the deposits. Then you'll have a heightened sense of who you are. You'll be more confident about how you are, what you are, and what's necessary for you to have a healthy overall well-being and happiness. If I say it another way, it would be said this way. Whenever your well-being or your happiness are ever in jeopardy, you need to reshuffle the deck and take inventory of what needs to change, who it is you need to, separate yourself from or change your interactions with, because you should not live with your well-being nor your happiness ever in jeopardy. One more time, you should never allow yourself to settle for less than what you deserve and allow your well-being and or your happiness to be at risk. That's part of the understanding of boundaries, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Understanding boundaries means you understand what's at risk. What is it that is at stake? And you communicate and you act to protect that thing that's valuable to you. You erect a fence. You put up signs to let people know this property is now mine. This thing is now owned by me. And whatever way you were using it before, I have to put a stop to that because I am now the owner and I'm choosing to do something different with it because that's my prerogative. I own it, and therefore I'm charging it the way I want to have it work. And that requires boundary setting. But you have to have, and here's the word I want to leave you with tonight, the operative word for day one. Not only is it self-love, but it is understanding priorities in a healthy way. The operative phrase. Understand priorities, your priorities, and this will blow your mind. We live life because of our faith, how we've been culturally cued up, what our mother and father told us, and what the things we've learned in life. I know I have certain things that I think as an African American because those things are part of the African American experience in African American communities. I mean, that just stands to reason. That is sociologically makes sense. Okay, here's my point. We were told culturally, sociologically, religiously that we need to put other people first. That is an incorrect way to live. We should start, and let me clarify, just stay with me. We should begin every interaction not with the other people in mind, but with ourselves. And here's why. This will transform your thinking day one. Everything in life we do, listen, follow me, very practical, boots on the ground. Everything in life we do tells us just the opposite of the way we have chosen to live. When you have a refrigerator, in order for you to go to your refrigerator to get food, what do you have to do? You got to put food in it, right? You have a cell phone. I used this example earlier. You have a cell phone. If you don't charge your cell phone at night and you wake up in the morning and you reach for it, what's going to happen? It's going to be dead, or it's going to have a low charge. It's not going to be able to help or support you in what you need to do for that day. It will become useless, null and void. If you drive an automobile, a motorcycle, anything that requires gas, you have to gas that thing up before you move it. Preferably, that would be the way to take care of the engine. You got to put oil in the motor to make sure everything is properly lubed. Everything in our world speaks to this one principle, putting something in order to, at a later date, have the privilege of taking something out. But we don't live that way. Everything around us tells us that that's the way life is. Making a deposit so you can make a withdrawal later. And so here's what we try to do. We begin every one of our interactions focusing on the other person. Whoa, do you have gas? Are you rested? Are you alert, awake enough? Are things in your life balanced enough for you to have an interaction with another human being in a healthy manner? Are you adequately prepared to have an interaction with another? This is what I'm telling you. Self-love, when you understand it, is transformational and powerful at its core. And it'll be that for you at your core. So I want you to hear me in your soul and spirit by listening if you're a friend, not just my voice. Self-love should be understood just that way, which is what takes me to the second card. The second card says, becoming the best version of ourselves possible, first for ourselves and then for others. And here's the key, in that specific order. We want to become the best version of ourselves for ourselves first, and then for other people in that specific. Why? Because of the principle I just mentioned. In order for me to have an amazing interaction with another human being, there better be some amazingness somewhere here, right? Like amazingness doesn't just be conjured up. It's not going to happen in a moment. Sometimes things do. But the point is why don't you prepare for your interactions, just like you would preparing, to go to a job interview or preparing for so many other things in life. You prepare to pay your rent, your mortgage. You get yourself together. You prepare to go. Everything in life speaks to a preparation and then an engagement. Is that right? Everything but human beings. It's amazing that we are the most um, intelligent beings that God created, but we seem to be the ones that resist the natural flow of the way things are all the time. We're the only creatures God made, except for the angels, that have chosen to consciously, regularly rebel against God's plan and program. Whole separate conversation for a later podcast. But you understand my point. As human beings, we're the brightest, we're the favorite of God, but yet we have the tendencies to do the worst possible thing. And I'm just using all that emphatically and passionately to shake your tree to help you to understand. No condemnation, no judgment, but to help you hopefully understand that if you've been doing this, thinking about other people first and foremost, you've been doing well, but it's only been half of the equation. You've neglected yourself. You've failed to see the impact that you can make on other people. You're wanting to do for others. You're hoping they can do for you, but you're failing to see that you are God's instrument. You are God's hands, feet, and mouth in this earth realm, and He wants to use you to do extraordinary things. But the way He can do that is you must be prepared. You must be suited in the right uniform for the right engagement. You can't be a golfer ready to go through the tunnel at halftime and come out on the football field. You're in the wrong arena. And that's what we do. We get so charged or we get so discouraged because we don't get from our interactions the things we had hoped to. Well, when we really think about it, we came to the interaction half-hearted, halfway prepared, kind of sleepy, double-minded because our mind is somewhere else. We weren't focused. So we wonder why our interactions are crap. Excuse my Portuguese. Because we haven't deposited. So when the time comes to make a withdrawal, we are like, we got 2 cents. And you ever been to the bank or pulled your debit card out or something and you swipe and you realize, man, I thought I had $1,000 and you only have 10 or something to that effect. Whatever you actually had was so much further from what you thought you had and what you thought you were able to do business with that you're now standing there in the middle of a transaction wondering, why did I think I had $100 and I only have 2? What was on my mind? I've been there several times. Let me be transparent. I've been there several times recently. And it is a painful thing when you realize I didn't take into consideration other things that were coming out of my account. Now I have so much less than I thought. So now I can't do the business, make the transactions I wanted to because I don't have what's necessary. Why? Because I waited too long in between deposits. I neglected to make a necessary deposit. So when the time came for me to use what was in the account, I came up short. That's the way most of us live, folks. No condemnation, no judgment. Just hear me. Self-love lets you, makes you, propels you, prompts you, urges you, encourages you. Get the point? It urges you and encourages you to get you together first. And then as a together person, you can engage in a maximum way possible. Let me give you a story and I'll close us out for the night. So as many of you already know, in 2018, I had a full right brain stroke that at the time, in November of 2018, left me paralyzed on my left side. By the grace of God, I have all of my feeling back. Here's my arm. I'm lifting it higher and higher. I have all of my feeling back, but I'm still, wrestling with and rehabbing for range of motion and certain motor functions like toe wiggling, fingers, and all those things. But here's what happened. I came home from rehab empowered with these things called compensatory strategies, which is what I was given in therapy to help me to overcome, to function in life, to help me overcome the deficit that I had experienced from the stroke. You with me? And my goal, and I have to be honest to say that I just realized this as a podcaster. I just realized this amazing fact just recently. I never came home thinking, this may sound crazy, but I never came home thinking that one day I would be healed. Here's what I came home thinking. I came home thinking that I have enough in my tank in terms of compensatory strategies that I could live normally, if not better or close to what I lived, how I lived before. Understand my point? I never thought about being healed, and that's probably a fault of mine, but we'll deal with that later. What I did think is I had enough to be able to not survive, but to exceed what was necessary by medical standards, therapeutic standards, to be able to engage. And so here's what happened. So when I came home, I went back to working on a book that I had started before the stroke. I finished that book, and then something dawned on me that I had a master's thesis that I can turn into a book. So I worked on that. So now I had two books going at the same time. And crazy me, with these compensatory strategies that I was given, I threw a third book in the mix, and then a fourth book, and then a fifth book. And between the fall of 2019, when I was released in April of 2019 from rehab after 6 months of intense physical, speech, and occupational therapy. By the fall of 2019, that same year, is when I started writing these books. Started with one, and I totally expected to run into some problems, to kind of have a hit the wall experience. But because of the compensatory strategies, I was compensating for my deficits, for my disablement, so to speak. And I was able to keep going. And I never had that hit the wall experience. So I kept writing, I kept adding books. But between fall of 2019 and February of the following year, 2020, just after my birthday, I had fully published on major retailers, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, 5 books. And here's the point. I was so focused on writing and using what I was taught to overcome my deficit, I never bothered to look up. And one day I remember telling somebody, man, I just published my 5th book. And they were like, do what? And I said, yeah, I just published my 5th. They were like, what? And it took me like months to realize that that wasn't normal. And the person said, man, I don't know a person in my friend group that has ever published one. And here you published 5 at the same time. And I just kind of went, yeah. But then when I realized what he was saying, what the person was saying, was that that was a little bit more than normal. My point to you, my listening and viewing friend, is when you focus on being the best version of you that you can possibly, here's what happens. You get so focused on being who and what you have been called to be that you forget to even look up and measure your progress. And what's happening when you become that focused is God begins to pour a little super on your natural. And before you know it, you look up and you look behind you and you go, I wrote 5 books. Oh my God. Like, it didn't even dawn on me. What I'm trying to do is focus on avoiding the pitfalls, the potholes, and the speed bumps of life, thinking, I just want to get this process done. I just want to execute one more thing using the strategies. I'm not even thinking about the trail I'm blazing. And what you wind up doing is you wind up looking up and realizing when you make you and your goals and your aspirations and dreams top priority in your life, when you are busy doing you. Miles Davis said it this way. I love this quote. I discovered this about 6 months ago. Miles Davis said, sometimes it takes a long time for you to learn how to play like yourself. What he was saying was, as a musician, sometimes you got to mess around with that horn or that flute a long time before you develop your own style, your own unique way of expressing yourself, in his case, artistically, musically. Sometimes, I mean, I just love that quote because that's the truth. Sometimes in order for you to be the person you need to be, you got to work at it. Not sometimes, all the time. You've got to work at being you. But my listening and viewing friend, my thing to you tonight, from the principle of self-love, use these principles and work at becoming your best you. And before you know it, you will look up and you'll realize, man, I can't believe what I just did. Man, I covered a lot of ground. Because while you're busy being you, using the strategies and the things that you know how to do, the things that you know what to do for, keeping that hamster wheel turning, while you're busy grinding, God is busy pouring a little super on your natural. Before you know it, you'll look up and you will have had a supernatural occurrence or occurrences in your output. And that's today's message. Between those two things, you have the definition. Self-love is the thing that grows as a result of actions that support your physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual growth and development. Those actions are self-care. Self-care, you see what I'm saying? It's right in the definition. Self-care are the deposits. My listening and viewing friend, make many deposits. My two favorite words, early and often. So when and if time requires you to make a withdrawal, you can do so and have enough to sustain you through the changes and the seasonal, obstacles that life are certain to present to you. Make sense? Day one of this self-love focus. Again, what I'm going to do at least once a day is do a video. I'll send you the link. I'll post it in the Facebook group. And then eventually at the end, you'll have access to the YouTube channel. And I'll send you a kind of a list with all the videos that you can look at and have these to go forward with, to review at your leisure, as they say, at your leisure, so that you can continue to be empowered. Okay? This is what this is all about. We want you to succeed, and you're going to have posts, podcasts, blogs, everything. You're going to have all. We're going to do some interviews here soon. Teresa, Laverne, and I. We're going to do some conversations online. I sent out a poll to get a feel for people in our group, the 40 some odd members. Would anybody be open to doing a virtual meetup like a Google Meets? And we have overwhelmingly have a response where several people said yes, they would be open to it. So I'm thinking maybe Wednesday. Look for some information from me about Wednesday or sooner, but regarding the fact that I'm thinking Wednesday we'll do a Google Meets kind of town hall meeting. Just invite everybody to call in, come on, introduce yourself to your fellow community members. Tell us a little bit about who you are. Tell us the challenges you've faced and the successes you've had in your goal pursuits. Again, connectedness is what we're all about here. Celebrating, progressing, moving forward, acknowledging that you do great things in between your birthdays. We don't want to wait for that one time a year or for a special occasion. Post your progress so we can celebrate your wins, your victory, your accomplishments now. Thanks so much for listening, folks. Have a great night. Go back to the Facebook page and check out some updates that we'll be posting soon. One video a day, surrounded by a number of supportive things that will reinforce what the videos are talking about. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at what's on card number 3. We'll post that for you in the morning. In the meantime, have a joy-filled remaining few hours of tonight. I hope you get enough sleep and peace and power to you and your family. We'll talk soon. Take care.